You know what feels different in Guelph this summer? Walk into any open house and you'll see buyers aren't frantically running through the home. Homes are sitting just a little bit longer, and even those $1 million listings are getting negotiated down. Meanwhile, in Toronto, prices are slipping, inventory is on the rise, and those ripples are rolling right down the 401 into our market here in Guelph. So here's the big question. Is Guelph finally shifting into a buyer's market? Stay with me because I'm breaking down the numbers, the emotions behind them, and a clear strategy for you, whether you're buying, selling, or perhaps just watching from the sidelines. Hi, I'm Varsha Pasel, your Guelph real estate guide, and listen, I'm not here to give you data that you can Google. My job is to translate what's happening, to show you what these stats actually mean in your life, with your money, and your family's future. Because numbers are one thing, but strategy, that's where the real power is. Let's begin with numbers. The average sales price for all housing across Guelph averaged at $777,000. Now that is an overall average, of course. If we're going to break it down by housing type, detached homes sat at $880,000 here in Guelph. Now again, that's the average of detached properties here in Guelph. That is not neighborhood specific. That average is actually slightly up from the year before, but is approximately 8% down from June of this year. Now, of course, timing, market conditions, and summer break come into play as well. But overall, it's safe to say that momentum did slow down for the summer. Townhomes in Guelph are sitting at roughly $775,000, and our beloved condo market, it is sitting at just under $600,000. Now, the key with our condo market is we have a lot of inventory. With over 6 months of inventory, our condo market is in a full buyer's market category. Now let's talk speed. Homes are taking anywhere from 25 to 37 days to sell on average, depending on the segment. That's about a week longer than 2024. That doesn't sound huge, but remember 2021 when properties were selling in 48 hours, sometimes 24 hours, and my goodness, they were going under contract in 12 hours even. This is a completely different pace. Now, sales volume, the first half of 2025, every month from January to June was lower than 2024. July gave us a little blip. Sales were high year over year, but in August, it slowed down again. We're down approximately 13 to 18% when compared to summer 2020. Let's talk about months of inventory, which I think is a key metric for you to look at if you're considering a move. In Guelph, our detached homes are sitting at about 4.5 months of inventory. That's the highest supply for Q2 that CREA has reported in Guelph. CREA is our Canadian Real Estate Association. Condos are even higher, just over 6 months of inventory. So yes, buyers are gaining leverage, and honestly, this is the healthiest balance we've seen in over a decade. I speak with numerous buyers, and some of them are still sitting on the sidelines when they have absolutely no business waiting, because they're completely prepared and should take advantage of some of our fabulous homes that can be negotiated in this market. Guelph never moves in isolation. We're tied directly to what happens in the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. Right now, Toronto's average home price is sitting at $1.1 million, down roughly 5% year over year. And what about GTA's inventory? It's up more than 25%. Province-wide for Ontario, sales earlier this year were down almost 26% when compared to 2024. So what this means is pretty simple. Families in Vaughan, Brampton, Ajax are still moving to Guelph, but when their homes sell for less, they bring less equity. They're still coming, but they're negotiating much harder when they get here. And the affordability gap is huge. 1.1 million in Vaughan likely gets you a semi-detached, but here in Guelph, you can stretch it that much further. We're talking a detached home with a yard in a great school district. Now let's zoom in for a minute, shall we? Because you know I'm always saying you have to get pretty micro market specific when you're making your move. Zooming in to our neighborhoods here in Guelph, starting with South Guelph, our biggest relocation hub, Clarefields, Westminster Woods, Pine Ridge, There's still such hot properties and really hot neighborhoods for families considering relocating to Guelph because, as you know, great schools, parks, rec centers, and the new South Guelph Rec Center that's coming up in South Guelph, not to mention easy access to the 401, really calls a lot of relocationers, especially if they still have to commute to Toronto. And then there's beautiful Courtright Hills, bigger lots, quiet streets. You see lots of move-up buyers settling here. Then there's the charm of downtown and Old University Guelph. Those lots are absolutely gorgeous, and the charm of each unique home, you really have to come and take a look. Character homes are still holding strong in Guelph, but downtown condos, we do have an oversupply. I would be remiss if I didn't mention our east. The Grange area and beyond truly offers such a mixed opportunity for families who are perhaps looking at a starter home or perhaps the move-up buyer to a detached property or a townhome. There's lots of mixed dwellings with different price points, and so affordability is valued in this neighborhood. Each pocket truly tells a different story when it comes to price points, so you can't just look at overall average in the city of Guelph. I think it's important to talk about who's at risk in this market, because this market is not for the faint of heart. Most obvious are sellers who are anchored in 2021 prices. Expired listings are up more than 50% in the city of Guelph. If you're still chasing bidding war numbers, buyers are scrolling right past you. I think it's time, if you're a seller and you're not sure of where you're going and why you're even selling, or if you're a seller that's unable to part with that aspirational price that you had in mind, then perhaps it's important to really reflect on why you're even considering selling. Next, condo sellers. With over 6 months of inventory, your 1 bedroom, 1 bath is simply not going to stand out in a market that is full of them. There's going to need to be much more creative tactics to stand out in today's market. Sellers with tight timelines, whether it's divorce, a job relocation, an estate situation, or even financial stress. These sellers are vulnerable to low offers because they simply can't wait. Pricing is strategy, not ego. Now on the flip side, who has opportunity in today's market? Buyers with their financing ready to go. Over 80% of homes selling under list price in Guelph. Conditions are back, and so are negotiations. Move-up buyers. Say you're selling a $750,000 home and looking to move up to $1 million or $1.1 million home. You actually gain in this market. A small dip on the sale is offset by bigger savings on your purchase. And of course, GTA relocators. The value gap is still here. And that's why so many GTA locals are eager to call Guelph home. Selling homes, especially as an end user, if we don't talk about some of the emotions attached here, because the numbers only tell us half a story. If you ask me, buyers are dealing with the fear of paying too much. What do we even call that? They hesitate, they're wondering if they're paying too much, they wonder if prices will slide down even further. Does any of that sound familiar? This truly keeps people sitting in limbo, afraid to take action, afraid to take a step forward, perhaps even being pushed backwards because they're unable to keep up with market trends. It's important. If you're watching this and you've been really disciplined with your numbers, then there comes a point where you know you're ready to go. Stop talking yourself out of opportunity. Sellers, they're terrified of leaving money on the table. Rightly so. They remember the 2021-2022 peak and they think, if I wait, maybe I'll get it again. These are tricky times to navigate. And I can appreciate that all of us want to do the best with what we have. Make the best decision that we can. I was helping a buyer recently in Courtright West, and we happened upon a property that was priced just slightly higher than market value. We toured it in the off chance the seller was going to drop price. My clients moved on to something else, but I can tell you once that seller did adjust price by $30,000 lower, that property saw traction over the weekend and went conditional almost immediately. It takes time to get there, but in doing so, you're sometimes missing that earlier opportunity. So what's the actual play right now? For buyers, focus on 900,000 to a million. That's the best mix of choice and flexibility here in Guelph. Put on your hunting gear and search for listings sitting over 30 days. Those sellers are usually ready to negotiate. Don't bank on rates. Even if the Bank of Canada trims rates later this year and into 2026, affordability shifts maybe 3%. Confidence matters more. If you see a home you love, negotiate it now. For sellers, price to win, not to test. Be the best option in your category. Stage and home aggressively. Highlight schools, neighborhoods, parks, recreation, the essence of life here in Guelph. If you need a hand, reach out. In 2021, the strategy was speed. In 2025, it's patience and positioning. And looking ahead, September and October really are our true test because summer numbers can be slightly skewed, usually. If you're in Canada, you're trying to get as much vitamin D as you can. Historically, fall brings a burst of activity before winter. If that blip doesn't show up this year, then buyers, you're in the driver's seat going into 2026. Rates may trim a quarter point, but remember, that barely shifts affordability. Confidence is the wild card. Buyers have more leverage than we've seen in a number of years, and Guelph remains one of the top mid-sized cities in Ontario. Families keep choosing it for schools, lifestyle, work-life balance, and for community. That doesn't change. Are you seeing more for sale signs in your neighborhood? Are they lingering just a little bit longer than you're used to? Do you have questions about that? Drop it in the comments, please. I would love to compare notes. If you want to talk about your own strategy, or perhaps even get your hands on my #1 Guelph guide, there's a link in the description below, or just drop a comment and I'll send you my contact details. Make sure you're subscribed because September's update will show whether fall brings momentum or if buyers keep calling the shots.